This conference will now be recorded.
Hi guys, it's Professor Olson doing the critique for Friday. I saw Professor Penna did a great job yesterday. I appreciate that, Matt. So just taking a look, top of the heap here is Kevin. You're doing blood orange chocolate. Your color palette has sufficient contrast. It's pretty monochromatic though. And your package design has many of the things that we require. It's looking well designed. It's neat. I would just say you should experiment a little more with color. I would add an additional color that isn't part of this orange monochromatic. When you look at your front panel here, um, all these white strokes kind of pop out a little too much. I would maybe make those in a color instead of white. And I think that your type sort of gets lost, orange on orange ombre here. So maybe there's an additional color you can add in that would give you a little more pop and a little more interest. Right now it looks very orangey. It's okay. I'm just saying that you could experiment a little more. All right, Jose, Stone Soup. Clearly you kind of struggle with the logo because you don't really have like a logo lockup. The design is got some power, poppy. Your primary display panel should be on this panel here, not this one. So when you build this in 3D, this would be in the front. This panel here would be in the front. Um, the black strokes, I would question, could they be something other than black? Could your type be in a color that contrasts with the yellow instead of having white with a black stroke? Um, your stone illustration with the spoon is quite nice, and I like this grass and the sun. There's some happy things going on here. But I would just give it another look. Obviously, you don't have a logo lockup, so that's kind of what's missing. I guess this is what this is here. Um, but this white type with the black stroke, while it's highly legible, I'll give you that. It could be maybe done a little differently so you're not using so much black in everything. All right, Alana, you're doing Tortuga jelly beans. These are the jelly beans with adult flavors. This looks very kid-like and kind of fun and kid-like, but I think it's off-brand a little bit. This one looks a little more on-brand. These white jelly beans, I would make those colors. You could use this as a mask and just paint rainbow behind there and see how that looks. Or you could individually color all the jelly beans. But I would do something a little more colorful with this. Your color palette's really limited. This one now, your logo being all white, could it be different colors? Like if you threw a yellow type on here, that might really jump out. This is a fun illustration. I don't know that it's going to be seen quite well. This looks like we're underwater. I get that. Looks a little unfinished. Yeah, underwater. I like that idea. But try to get away from just doing a white logo and see if you can use color more. This golden yellow is kind of nice. Maybe that works for the type. Um, and I think of these three designs, I kind of like this one if the jelly beans weren't white. I do like this one as well. So you've got some good stuff going on, and I would just sort of keep going with that, see if you can add some more color to your front panel here because it looks really stark by itself. All right, Shari. So Pacific Coast Orchards, I hope you see that your logo type is practically illegible. You're using the stock pattern from Illustrator, which is done by von Glitzka. It's kind of a great pattern, but it's way too large. I wouldn't even use this. I would create your own pattern. And putting the pattern in the logo makes it really hard to make it out. Your type needs to be a lot bigger and punchier. This additional element of this sort of ribbon shape, it's really distracting. I feel like you just need to clean it up a little bit and use your own artwork instead of the stock stuff, and then come up with three designs. Overall, the color palette seems okay. It's a bit on the light pastel-y side. You don't really have any real dark colors, which might be good for type. So consider how you build your palette that way. And this pattern's got to go because that's really too large and it's somebody else's artwork. So same thing here. This is the other von Glitzke pattern that comes with Illustrator. So Sunny, consider making your own pattern using that instead. You've got your little teddy panda, panda bear, Shanghai cookies in a white bar. This doesn't feel like a logo lockup at all. It's like this piece of type and then an illustration and then another piece of type, and you had to put white boxes around it for it to show up. Figure out how you can not use the white boxes, lock up your logo so that it's all one thing. Use your own pattern and find a way for this type to live without having to, you just sort of putting a strip of pattern here just makes it hard to read the type. This is a little better, another stock pattern. Yeah, I just think these elements are not really sort of laid out in an integrated way. You could have a picture, a photo of the product. You've got the elements there. You just need to sort of homogenize them, make them work together. All right, Jamie, Patty's Pantry. Kind of fun to have the wood floorboards or door boards. The type, you just have the word mark without the icon here. I don't think that works. Plus you need your net weight. This one works a little better and you have a descriptor line. I would put the descriptor line in a different font than your logo type so your logo remains kind of special. And color-wise, you've got your illustration of the door and then a lot of green. You really need to integrate color a little more. Maybe these shamrocks are in a different color other than white. This is your chance to play with color quite a bit. So you did attempt to make this around the handle, which I admire that you tried that. It's a little odd because it just sort of barely goes over the edges. But I might make it just smaller and sit across the horizontal part of that. You can also make, so when these flaps lay on top of this, you're gonna have perpendicular patterns. So maybe make this part of the flap a different color, not the pattern, or vice versa. But if you have it like this goes perpendicular to that, and then you're gonna have boards going this way and boards going that way. It won't look good. So consider changing it up a bit. All right, Christian, this is, I assume, Atomic Cookies. I don't see your logo type anywhere. How would people know what this is? You've got this sort of lozenge shape with an illustration, black background. I'm not sure. Why wouldn't your illustration just fill up this space? But beyond that, where's your logo? If this is your logo, it needs to have a logo type that says the name of your company. It's quite complex to be a logo. So you got some big issues here. This is not sufficiently branded and you've only got one design. You need to have three. The craftsmanship needs some improvement as well because things are crashing here. So make sure you understand how to build a logo and do some branding on your package design. All right, Megan Brainiac, this is looking good. I like this. It's got some good contrast. Your Brainiac logo sort of is a lockup. This trapezoid here, sort of containing shape for your logo, I'm not sure that that's necessary or helping you much. I would make the word Brainiac big and coffee smaller and tuck it in with the icon so you have a lockup. This red and green kind of makes me think of Christmas a little bit. I'm not sure that works as well for coffee. This one does a little better. You could try a darker brown version of this. Your pattern is really quite large. You could scale that down so that it's more of a texture kind of feel. You could also use your hexagons as a texture. That could be fun to use maybe on this panel here or underneath it. So consider that. And there we are up to Professor Penna's work. All right. Here we go. So this is Professor Penna's class, Big Red's Texas Chili. This is the chili for tough cowboys who want to be out in the wilderness. It really looks like a kid's product now. It's very fun. There's some fun design elements, but I don't think you're really hitting the brand correctly, Elizabeth. So your fonts sort of split around the icon makes it really hard to work with. So your type's way too small. And then as a pattern, you just took your icon and sort of flipped it around. Maybe consider other elements beside the icon. And your overall color palette should have sort of like a Western chili kind of feeling. Right now, you got bright blue, a light green. It doesn't really feel like your brand. So reconsider that color palette. I know your red is the signed color. Complement is green. Sometimes that looks like Christmas. Sometimes it looks like Mexico. Mexico would be better. So think about that. All right, Stephen, let's see what we got. All right, so mint soap. Your logo is just an oval with the word written in, I guess. It's just black lines. I would consider, how do you add some color to your logo to make it stand out? You've got a kind of odd collection of blues and greens here. They're all very light colored. I would give yourself some more contrast. This dark blue is really nice. Your logo should be in that color. Maybe it is, but it doesn't really look like it. It looks black to me. The organization of this panel needs some work. The soap looks kind of dismal. It's kind of dark. Maybe you can find a better image of soap and sort of figure out how to arrange this panel so that it has a proper hierarchy. Right now, it's like the logo and the soap are just sort of competing for attention. Make sure you spell organic right. Organic, anti-again. Yeah, check your spelling. I like this element. I wish it was something other than white. Yeah, so take another look at your color palette. Shaniqua, Cactus Cookies. I love your icon. It's cute, it's fun. I think the words Cactus Cookies should be much bigger. I don't think you need the circle in the background. You may put that there to have it separate from this background color, but then just change the background color to something that works with your logo icon. It sort of eliminates a secondary element that you don't need. You do need the net weight and some descriptor line for your cookies. And you're trying out different patterns, which I admire. You're trying to do some different things. This looks like your icon just shrunk down. I do like this kind of random cactus thing. If it was smaller, that might work. This photo is really cute, but it kind of feels like a different visual language than the rest of the piece. So make sure you add those elements, the net weight, the descriptor line, and see what you can do to eliminate the circle, because your little guitar playing cactus is a fun little character, and I think it could work by itself. And you've already put it together, so you got the skills there to get this together. That's great. All right, Riza, Oaxaca chocolate. You've got a pattern that's sort of reminiscent of Oaxaca, which is nice. Your logo, all this white area, I feel like it's kind of like a big void. I would try to figure out a color that really makes it pop out from the background. Your nutrition facts, on the other hand, need to have white. I would probably put it on this panel so it's not showing right there. Just give your logo some color makeover, because right now it's a lot of white, which does make it stand out against some backgrounds. Yeah, descriptor line would be good. This pattern's working really well on the top. Yeah, so consider what you do with that logo. All right, Morgan, this is Bermuda Tea. I've discussed this before, but I think your branding is way off on this. It looks very contemporary and not traditional and English in any way. There's some craftsmanship issues here. Overall, your color palette is all kind of in the dark range. Nothing really pops out. You could maybe make some things lighter. Um, this sort of rounded shape here, see, it feels kind of unnecessary and unfinished. It's like a little tight. Just probably maybe bring it all the way across if you're going to do that. This little palmetto thing is more interesting than your icon. That's a little bit of Bermuda going through there. And then you've got this top panels. Now you've added this kind of swirly thing. So when you see it assembled, it kind of looks random and swirly. I would reconsider how you lay out those top pieces. All right, Shirley Windsor tea, which is another very English looking tea. This color palette is very bright yellow with the dark green. I believe the dark green was your assigned color. I feel like this is like a little too like, I don't know, it's not traditional English feeling at all. The logo is like just type here and then a cup. I don't really see a logo lockup. This shape around it is somewhat interesting, but it's not really sort of interacting with everything. I think this needs a lot more attention to make it a sort of detailed thing. And put in the net weight and put a descriptor line so that you have some, and then you got to finish off the top. The top doesn't have anything, and you need 3 designs. You only have 1. Teresa, this orangey red color and this blue are essentially complements, and when you make them exactly the same value, that is to say light and dark, it gets this vibration that makes it kind of really hard to look at. Your logo type's quite small for the icon, and it doesn't really feel either islandy or Christmassy or any of the things from the creative brief. It feels very bright. I would reconsider your color palette a little bit. This name is long, so, and it's actually Pedro's Polvorones cookies. So Pedro's should be the big name, and then this is more like the category. Yeah, there's your net weight sort of slipping off the edge. Sit down with Illustrator, think of a better color palette that works with some more contrast in value, and reconfigure your logo so that the brand name is prominent. All right, Ashlyn, Café de Provence. This very monochromatic color palette really doesn't provide enough contrast or interest to draw somebody in to want to buy this product. Your logo is a little arduous, kind of hard to work with. The icon's way too big next to the type. It should say coffee, it should have net weight. Maybe it has a photo, descriptor line, gourmet coffee, and additional contrast. Like it feels like you're very sort of afraid of color, and now's not the time to do that. See if you can find some contrasting hues to give a little more life to this, because right now it's kind of fading into the background. All right, Kimberly, Granny Secret Fudge. Yeah, your logo is not quite locked up either. It feels like a random series of elements just on the panel here. I know that's your assigned color. Maybe a little more fudge color as a secondary element. Granny's Secret, big, fudge, small. And then what are you going to do? This blue is sort of an analogous palette. I don't know, it feels off. I feel like this would be like grape juice mix or something, not really like bourbon laced fudge. It should have more of a sort of, you know, bootlegger vibe to it, a little more rough and uh, additional elements, like is there wood paneling back here or something like that? So right now it's pretty flat, bright colors and not really on brand, I don't think. All right, Madison, Tupe Mate. So your logo, again, you sort of split it around the icon, which makes it kind of hard to work with. This type is so thicks and thins are so contrasting, it's a little hard to read. And it also doesn't feel anything like the South American rainforest, which is the vibe that this is supposed to have from your creative brief. So with that in mind, are there natural elements like wood, plant, texture that you could use instead of just circles so that you could give this more of a branded look that fits with the creative brief? You could use some gradients, give it a little darkened edge or something. But yeah, like look at the rainforest and see what elements you have to work with. All right, that's all we have for today. I hope this was helpful. My critiques are intended to be instructive, not not to hurt your feelings or anything. So I hope that's helpful. If you have any questions, please let me know or Professor Penna know, and we will be glad to help you any way we can. Talk to you later.